Good day, everyone. My name, for those who know and don't know, is Sherrin Varghese. I am a singer, musician, actor from Mumbai. I'm also one of the founding members of a band of boys. We're India's first and only boy band. And we've been around for 25 plus years. We've had 8 plus albums and about 1600 plus shows traveling all across the world. God has been really, really kind to us. In 1996, one of my engineering batchmates looked at my palm and he said, "तू जो बचपन में सीखा है ना, उसी की खाएगा." Meaning, I'm going to have a way of life through what I learned as a child. You see, I come from a Catholic community and music is all around us. It's omnipresent. School, church, choir. So I never looked at music as a profession. So I followed my dad's footsteps and I followed my natural inclination and I decided to pursue diploma in mechanical engineering through Larsen & Toubro Institute of Technology, which is this prestigious college giving diploma to sons and daughters of L&T employees as a welfare scheme. A student, top notch. After diploma, I decided to pursue degree in mechanical engineering through Datta Meghe College of Engineering, Airoli, New Bombay. Now, when you come from diploma to degree, you're directly landing in second year, and you're coming from a 4-year-old prestigious, industry integrated course where you practically have done a lot more than the professors who are teaching you, and you think you know a lot more than your professors. So the sarcastic idiot in me decided to call out on public forums like annual days these professors as industry rejects. Please don't ever do this to your teachers. I have deep regrets. So during Viva VOCs, these professors would call me and say, "Hey boy, come here. Industry rejects, huh? Thermodynamics, 4 marks. Kinematics of machinery, 2.5. Strength of materials, -4. Now, suddenly, an ACE diploma student is piled up with a lot of ATKTs, is failing in many subjects, and is looking at this looming problem on the horizon called Y2K bug, where we were conditioned to believe that all mechanical engineering students are going to fail because of Y2K bug, and all electronics and telecommunication and computer engineering students are going to thrive. Raging hormones, don't know what to do in life. I turned towards rock music and all its vices, and I decided that I want to pursue music. Got a little better at it, won a couple of vocal competitions at IIT Mudai, Best Vocals. From there, I got picked up onto the rubber band on Movers and Shakers. And from there, I got picked up to be as one of the 5 members of India's first and only boy band, a band of boys. This is a small clip of my journey. That's me during my heydays, fronting the rubber band on Movers and Shakers. That's Shekhar Suman, who hosted this show on Sony Entertainment Television. And that's a band of boys. That was a flagship song, Meri Neend, which got a lot of attention with the boys in white. And that's Leslie Lewis, who produced and composed all of our songs. This is Nain Katari from our 3rd album, Gani Bido Yaro. This was based on the Swayamvar concept of the Mahabharata and was a runaway hit. This is She Drives Me Crazy. It was a club hit, and this also featured for the first time the Indian rugby team. This next song is Gori, which is arguably our biggest radio hit. And it was so because of the contrasting nature of audio video, where the song is Rajasthani, but the video is very Al Capone. So, this was my life then. This is us from 2001. And this is us now in 2025. I think God has been very kind, and you may recognize some of the television faces that you see here, including mine. So, to summarize, this is my journey as a performer, starting from engineering, moving on to indie rock bands, and then moving on to the rubber band on Movers and Shakers, and then moving on to India's first and only boy band, a band of boys. And that is how I have achieved skill to scale. No, you're wrong. You see, from 2000 to 2010, which was arguably the best illustrious career of a band of boys, including mine due to association, It was also the golden era of indie pop in our country. It was also around the turn of that decade when Bollywood decided to kill indie pop. They came up with a lot of remixes. So gigs were drying up. We didn't know what to do. Some of us wanted to go solo. One fellow wanted to do a corporate job because of steady income. One fellow wanted to do television production. One fellow wanted to do music only with his brother. I didn't know what I wanted to do. 2010 to 2013 were the worst depressive years of my life. I lost my hair. So what came to the rescue? Engineering. See, when you're with a band of boys, everything gets done for you, right? Songs and production gets done by Leslie Lewis. Videos get done by the label. Running around gets done by the management. But when you're going solo, you're a DIY indie artist who's got no money. So you have to do all of this on your own. What do you do then? I dove down into YouTube and learned everything related to DAWs and audio production, where I learned how to I knew how to write songs, I knew how to make songs, but the technical skill of arranging, recording, track laying, mixing, production, dubbing, mastering, all of these had to be learned. And we think audio is what is all needed, right? No. Audio के बाद आता है दूसरा पहाड़, which is another mountain called video. In video, you have to learn how to do story writing, scripts, screenplay, lighting, shooting, direction, art direction, production, pre-production. Then comes this monolith task called post, where you learn how to edit, you learn how to CC, which is color correction. Then you learn to make teasers and promos, which in today's date is a ginormous problem. This process can take any time between a week to 1 month or 2 months. After that comes the release. So you think you've done it all. The release can be another month-long process where you're begging to radio channels to give some airplay. You're going to live stream platforms and streaming platforms begging for editors to put your song on your playlist. You're going to the press hoping that your name comes in the press. You're going to a billboard and say, when will my face come there? You're looking at registrations, royalties, rights societies, all of these things, and all we wanted to do was make a song. You see, these certain number of skills, when I amassed them, that's when I realized I am not only making songs, I'm scaling up. Now, one of my songs called Badal was in my hard disk for 5 years. And the reason for that was every audio processing technique that I learned on YouTube was being applied to that song. So that song started as it started as a guitar organic song. It ended up as an electronic poet hit. And I received an award for it from Hangama Artists Allowed, by the way. But because of this continuous evolution and process, it stayed in my hard disk till date of release. Now, I expanded my skills onto more things. I went to television, I went to films, I did reality shows, I did theater, I did OSTs and jingles, voiceovers, TVCs, I hosted anchor shows. And this is a small clip of my journey from 2010 to 2017, where I was starting to enjoy all the multiple skills that I have. I was gigging, I was enjoying my own IPs, I was a musician, I was an actor, I was a singer, I was also part of Band of Boys, I was having my solo career, my earlier catalog was working very well, my new catalog is working for me, I created my own genre called Bollytronica, I was doing many song releases, I was feeling very blessed and lucky that I was doing live shows, and all my fans and friends and colleagues were giving me a lot of love and respect for the stage life that I had. This, in short, is my 15, 17-year-old career in music. And to summarize once again, I began as a performer, went from engineering to indie rock bands, to the rubber band and movers and shakers, to India's first and only boy band, a Band of Boys. And now I have a stellar solo career doing shows, films, television leads, theater, hosting gigs, and many voiceover artists. This is how I believe I have achieved skill to scale. I met Prasoon Joshi on a flight. He said, in India, if you have to be an artist, you have to churn. Shankar Mahadevan is still doing it. Who are you? That's when I realized what happens when the artistry dies. What happens when we don't know how to write songs, when I can't jump and monkey anymore? What do I do then? That's when I realized I have to be able to make money and have a living even when I'm not performing. How do I scale up without these skills? What came to the rescue? Engineering. That led me to build this whole studio, which was not just a studio, but a platform for storytellers, where I could amass all these skills that I have gathered over the last 10 to 17 years and give it to my clan at a very economical level. And that is actually when my skills started beginning to scale. What started as a humble episode series of live streams from my living room, where I call my peers, friends, and colleagues to do these interview-cum-performances. What started as 4 episodes suddenly became 40 episodes. Harman Professional Solutions gave me an endorsement. I got many partnerships from many audio-video equipment producers. And then I amped up the studio to produce podcasts, to produce online concerts, to produce many, many virtual gigs. We started doing chroma backdrop production. We started doing a lot of music video production for my alma mater. We started doing wedding shows, indie shows, corporate shows. We started doing a lot of things for content creators. They started using the place for workshops. And the whole place became an art hub. And during the pandemic, we were responsible for over 300 plus live streams that you saw on Zoom. During the pandemic, there was this surge demand for a lot of creative content at scale and at quality. And that's where what came to my rescue? Engineering. Where I decided to learn one of the most toughest subjects in my life, which is real-time virtual production. Real-time virtual production is this concept where you use a game engine to produce 3D environments and composite a talent against a green screen volume. And this is how it looks when it's done decently right. This is one of the first clips that I produced where you shoot it like this, and the previous output happens like that. Once this came into picture, I did a lot of music videos. I had many friends and industry peers who use my services. I did a lot of live streams, a ton of music videos. I produced a lot of virtual talk shows, remote. I did a lot of virtual conferences, customized 3D sets for clients. I did animation. I did CGI, and I did pre-visualization for films, and I did many, many creative concepts using the whole gamut and technology of real-time virtual production against a chroma green screen studio. Today, we are an award-winning studio, and we are an 8-man army. We have produced phenomenal music videos. We produced many, many, many interesting audio-video content creations for the industry as such, and we're looked upon in Mumbai as a pioneer in many respects. We are a concert venue studio which specializes in real-time virtual production and also a content creation suite along with the theater space. I take deep pride and pleasure in marking my journey from engineering to a Vander Boys and keeping this whole flame of curiosity and being able to hopefully encourage you guys. In my years, I have realized skills create output, but systems are what creates an impact. And the moment your work stops depending on your presence, that's when you realize that your skill has started becoming up to scale. So, once again, I would like to summarize. I began my life as a performer, moving from indie rock bands to the rubber band on Movers and Shakers to a band of boys to my solo career. It shows, films, television leads, theater, hosts, voiceovers, and now I sunlight with the circuit as a virtual production supervisor, creative technologist, and an AI agentic automation expert. And this, for the last time, I truly believe, is my personal power of skill to scale. Thank you.